Jaya Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavana, Shri Govinda Gopinatha, Madana Moha. Jamshpad Paramahansa Virgajacharya tells us about His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Se Guru Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shamkund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki, Shri Shri Radhagolokananda Ki, Shri Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Shri Gaunitai Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachana Nirvishesha Shangamani Paschatyadishta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa Tarubyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna devotees. To say, mo bien bien content qui mo ici avec sort. Does that make sense? Really? Really? Or sort of? Well, devotees, I'm really happy to be here with you. It's been a long time. I was here once before with, I think, Bhakti Dear Damodar Swami. But anyway, I was here before. Oh, you know how many years ago?
When Mama Mother, I gave birth to Mama Mother.
Oh,
Naming
really?
ceremony.
When he was born.
Oh.
8 years old.
It was 8 years,
Yeah.
2015 or
2015.
15. Wow. Okay, great. Anyway, I hope you're comfortable. I see there's so much space here. Just these beautiful mats. Just calling out for someone to sit on them. But anyway, whatever, however you're comfortable. I don't want to feel too lonely myself, sitting at a distance. Let me just take a sip here. I mean, you can if you want. You don't have to. It is not compulsory. No espere que what? Confortable. Is that correct? You have to, yeah. You can be my translator. Help me with something. So devotees, you know that. Are you okay, Mataji? You want to chat? Une chaise pour vous? Pas de problème? Okay. So you know what I thought? We just sang. It was two verses from this song, which we just call Jai Radhe Jai Krishna. There are how many? There's 11 verses. Actually, we just sang 2. But I thought we could just go through the song because it's very beautiful. It's all about Krishna in Vrindavan. Yes, Krishna in Vrindavan. And everyone understands English, I'm sure. Garçon. What do you say? Tu comprends anglais? Un peu. Un petit peu. Quelquefois. So, okay, let's just read through this song and make some comments, because it is just very beautiful. Okay, so we sang, where are we? Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan or Vrindavan. Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan. All glories to Radha and Krishna. All glories to Vrindavan, the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the 3 main deities of Vrindavan: Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. Let me just say a little bit about this. These 3 deities, Govinda, Gopinath, Madan, Mohan, well, as the song says, they're the 3 main deities or presiding deities. Actually, the order is Madan Mohan, then Govinda, and then Gopinath. That's the order. There's sort of an order of, what would you say, importance or difference of function. Madan Mohan comes first. Madan Mohan is the presiding deity of the level of Krishna consciousness on which you you begin to develop a relationship with Krishna. Madan is Cupid, actually. Cupid, we all know about Cupid. Cupid has his bow and arrows, and he fires his arrows, And normally it's between boys and girls. Yeah, so he fires an arrow at, let's just for argument's sake, say at some boy, young boy. I mean, young means maybe teenage, that sort of age group. Fires an arrow, and suddenly that young boy feels attracted to a young girl. Really? These things happen. Or maybe he fires at a young girl, and suddenly she just becomes attracted to some young boy. Even, sometimes it happens, and the boy or the girl, whoever they become attracted to, doesn't look very nice. But because the arrow has been fired, So the attraction is aroused. That's how it works in this material world. So Madan is Cupid, and Mohan means attractor. Krishna is so attractive, he attracts Cupid. Cupid is attracting everyone generally by firing his arrows. So therefore he's very attractive. But Krishna is even more attractive, so he attracts Cupid. There's actually a place in Vrindavan town which is called Apsara. What's it called? Apsara Ghat. Apsara Ghat. It used to be a bathing place, therefore it's called Ghat. And Apsara is, well, it's a name of Radharani actually. Yeah, so let's say it's a name of Radharani. So at that place, Apsara Ghat, Lord Krishna and the gopis were having rasa dance. They were dancing together. And it was extremely beautiful sight. Just, we've seen all sorts of dancing happening, but we've never seen dancing like that. It's just, like from another dimension. So anyway, so there's Krishna, one Krishna, with all these young girls who are actually very beautiful. And he's dancing with them. And Cupid, Madan, arrived on the scene and saw this going on and Cupid thought that, this Krishna, he thinks he is beyond being attracted by the young girls. But I will fire my arrow and then we'll see. He'll just become overpowered by their female association. So there's Krishna dancing, and he's moving back and forth quite quickly from one gopi to another gopi, and then another gopi, and another gopi, dancing really beautifully but quite quickly. And there's Cupid with his bow and arrow, trying to aim at Krishna, but Krishna's moving fast, but back and forth and up and down, and Cupid's trying to keep up with it, but he can't. And then Cupid, as he's struggling like this to focus on Krishna, Cupid noticed that, this boy is extremely beautiful. It's amazing. I haven't seen anyone who's as beautiful as him. But anyway, let me fire my arrow. So again, he's trying to aim at Krishna, but Krishna can't aim at Krishna because as soon as he aims, Krishna's moved. And then he noticed that actually Krishna is really, really extremely beautiful, even more beautiful than he thought initially. But then thought, no, I must fire my arrow. So he pulled himself together and again, same thing, trying to take aim. But then he noticed that Krishna is just incredibly beautiful. And you know what happened to Cupid? He dropped his bow and he fainted just by seeing the beauty of Krishna. He just fainted, crash on the ground. And therefore Krishna's called Madan Mohan. Madan, Cupid. Mohan, the attractor. Yes. And well, I don't know, ladies or anybody, when some people saw you, did anyone faint? No. Just one person? One time? Never. Me neither. Yeah, sometimes, when Krishna was moving around, even big warriors, big powerful men, they would see Krishna and they would faint. Yeah, and even sometimes they're sitting on their horses or even on an elephant, and they'd faint and just fall off, crash onto the ground, because Krishna is so beautiful. So nobody fainted when they saw any of us. Maybe someone fainted out of shock one time. Excusez-moi. It's just a joke. But these things happen with Krishna. Therefore he's called Madan Mohan. And he presides over the beginning part of Krishna consciousness, the early stage. Because in the early stage, people have material desires. Because we've been in this world so long, and we're just used to that way of life of being attracted to different people, generally particularly the opposite sex, but also beautiful sights and just different beautiful things. So, and that distracts, in the early stages, that distracts someone from Krishna. They become distracted. So therefore, we take shelter of Krishna as Madan Mohan, so he will help us to overcome those attractions, so that is it Krishna calling? No, it's Krishna. Let me tell you a story about a telephone. You may have heard this story. One of our devotees, several years ago actually, met the Pope. The Pope, the Catholic people. So he met the Pope, and he went into the office with the Pope, and he noticed on the Pope's desk, he had a big black telephone. And like a really big black telephone, and he asked him, what's that for? And the Pope said, it's direct line. It's direct line. Yeah, up to him. And the devotee said, really, could I make a call? And the Pope said, sure, but it's really long distance. It's very expensive. It's $100 a minute. So devotee said, okay, I'll pay. So he called up, and sure enough, it was Krishna. And Krishna was asking, how's the Sankirtan movement going? Are you distributing Prabhupada's books? Yeah, Krishna was asking. Devotee was responding. Then Krishna said, pass the phone to the Pope. So devotee gave the phone to the Pope. And the devotee heard what Krishna was saying. And Krishna was saying, you still don't allow women to become priests, yeah? It's still like that. Because that's the Catholic Church, only men. Only men. And the Pope was, well, yeah, okay. And Krishna said, why? It was like that. So then they hung up. Later, devotees. Later, you may have read, it was before COVID, of course, but not too long ago, the Pope went to India. And when he went to India, he visited Vrindavan. And when he was in Vrindavan, he remembered, oh, my Hare Krishna friend who came to visit me, let me go visit him. So he went to the Krishna Balaram temple, and sure enough, there was the devotee, and the devotee was the temple president. So the Pope sat down there talking a bit, and the Pope noticed that on the president's desk was a big red telephone, big one. And the Pope said, oh, you've got one of them too. And the devotee said, yeah, right, direct line. And the Pope said, well, could I make a call? The devotee said, sure, no problem, just go for it. And so the Pope called up, and sure enough, it was Krishna. And again, Krishna said, hey, listen, Mr. Pope, you still don't let ladies become priests. And are you vegetarian yet? No? Why not? So, for a minute or two they spoke, and then the Pope hung up. He said, how much? How much? How much do they cost? And the president, the devotee said, no, don't worry about it, it's free of charge. Because here in Vrindavan, it's just a local call. Yeah, we heard that one before. It's a bit of an old one. It's a good one. And incidentally, it's not exactly true. Okay. So right, in the beginning, we worship Krishna as Madan Mohan, and he helps us get free from material desires. More often than not, or most common at least, from male to female, female to male, but just all sorts of material desires. For money, for a big motor car, and grand cars. Is that right?
Yes.
And grand cars, big house. Yeah. Just material desires. Big television. What is it? How do you say? What's 84 on Creole? Cut without cut. Cut without cut. Inch. Right. Whoa. Wrong. To watch Kuch Hota Hey. I don't know what the latest is, but Aishwarya and Abhishek probably. Okay. So that's Madan Mohan. By his mercy, even in the early stages, we can start to really become free from these material desires, which otherwise, people struggle. Even, someone's married, but he or she gets attracted to someone else. These things happen. And it creates such disturbance. It's material desire. So then, once you become nicely situated and in Krishna consciousness, and you're stable, not too many attractions this way and that, but you're getting nicely focused, then you come under the shelter of Krishna as Govinda. Govinda literally translates, go means the senses, sense of sight, of smell, of hearing, of taste, touch. These are the senses. And so go means senses. Also means cows, of course. But in this context, go means the senses. And Vinda or Inda is a shortened, abbreviated form of the word Indra. Indra means master, or even king actually, but in a general sense, master. So Govinda is a form of Krishna who is the master of our senses. So when we engage our senses in his service by looking at the beautiful altar, the deities, by hearing the talk about Krishna, or with the tongue chanting about Krishna, or tasting Krishna prasadam, like that. When we engage our senses in the service of Krishna as Govinda, then he engages our senses. And again, we're protected, even more protected than we were with Madan Mohan. Then third, and the topmost deity of Krishna is Krishna as Gopinath. Gopi means the gopis, the cowherd girls. And Nath means, it also means master, Lord. The Lord of Krishna's the Lord of the gopis, the master of the cowherd girls in Vrindavan, Gopinath. And those relationships between Krishna and the gopis are the deepest of all the relationships between Krishna and any devotees. Right. So therefore, right at the beginning of this song, the places glorified. Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Radha and Krishna glorified. Jai Vrindavan, all glories to the place. Vrindavan down, topmost spiritual abode of God. And then the deities are glorified. So then the second verse, Shamakund, Radhakund, Giri Govardhan, Kalandi Jamuna Jaya, Jaya Mahavan. So these are different places in the Vrindavan area. It's a whole area. It's not just, there's the town Vrindavan, which is very famous. It's not a big town, it's no bigger than Flacq, I think. It might even be smaller. Or maybe it's big. It's getting bigger nowadays. But it's not big. It's not a city. But it's said that of all holy places, means areas, Vrindavan is the most sacred. The highest. But within Vrindavan, because it's a big area, it's a whole area, it's not just the town, it's, to drive from one side to the other takes a couple of hours. And not through town, but just open road, but it's big enough, it takes a couple of hours. So of all sacred places, there's so many sacred places. The topmost is Vrindavan. But within Vrindavan, within the greater Vrindavan area, the topmost is Govardhan, Govardhan Hill. I think we all know Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill on the little finger of his left hand when he was just small, 7 or 8 years old. He lifted it to protect the devotees from the great rainstorm of Indra, sent by Lord Indra, the demigod. So yeah, within the Vrindavan area, sort of like region, the most sacred place is Govardhan Hill. But the thing is, Govardhan Hill is also not small. It is 23 kilometers around. And to walk around, well, devotees do. And today, of course, is Sunday and it's Krishna Janmashtami. I'm assuming that at Govardhan Hill, right at this point, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. I assume there's thousands of people walking around Govardhan Hill. And if you really go for it, super athlete, you know, what was his name? Usain Bolt, right? Fast runner, 23 kilometers. But if you walk really fast, the fastest I've heard of it being done in was 3.5 hours. And they were motoring. I mean, not literally, but they were really walking fast. And sometimes you see people, they're literally running around Govardhan Hill. I knew one devotee who lived at Govardhan Hill at a place called Uddhavakund. He passed away actually about a year ago. He was an elderly man, but he was really nice. And he told me that before he was born, his parents, they wanted to have a child, but no child was coming. Sometimes these things happen to a married couple. So they were trying, but no child was coming, and they didn't know what to do. So they were living right next to Govardhan Hill. So the mother took a vow that she would do Govardhan Parikrama, walking around 23 kilometers. Devotees, listen to this and fasten your seatbelts. She would do it 3 times a day until, she became pregnant. And she did. And then she gave birth to this particular devotee who just passed away. Yeah, he was a very nice fellow. Normally, when I do it, we take 2 days because we stop at all the places and explain, because there's so many places. It's really nice. All right, so within the region of Vrindavan Dham, the most sacred place is Govardhan Hill, but it's also quite big. So at Govardhan Hill, the most sacred place is Radha Kund, the bathing place of Srimati Radharani. Yeah. So it is, if Vrindavan is the most sacred, then Govardhan is the most sacred of the sacred, and Radha Kund is the most sacred of the sacred of the sacred. That's really sacred. So this is what this second verse is talking about. Shamakund, Radhakund. Shamakund is right next to Radhakund, and the waters mix actually. Giri Govardhan. Kalandi Jamuna Jaya. Kalandi is another name for the Yamuna river. So he's glorifying Jai, Kalandi Jamuna, all glories. And then Jai Mahavan. Mahavan is there are 12 main forests 12 main forests in that greater Vrindavan area. One of them is Mahavan. And actually that's where Krishna spent his earliest, he spent 3 years, plus or minus, about 3 years and 4 months. Krishna spent in Mahavan. You know, if you're at all familiar with the area, Gokula is within Mahavan. Van meaning forest. Yeah. So he's glorifying these places, particularly Mahavan, which is where Krishna and Balaram performed their earliest childhood pastimes. It's where Krishna killed the Putana demon, for example. Putana demon was the first demon who Krishna killed. Krishna was only 3 months old, but he killed Putana. And Prabhupada, you know, maybe slightly with tongue in cheek, means maybe a little light-hearted, but maybe not also. Prabhupada made the point that some people in India say that some other people, became God. They weren't, but they became God through doing some austerities. Yeah, someone became God by doing something very, difficult. Like, I don't know if you've seen photos when they have the big Kumbh Melas every, 12 years. Some of these people come down from the Himalayas and from all these places, people you just never see. And some of them do incredible austerities. It is truly amazing and even bizarre. I saw a photo of one man. He took a vow to keep his one arm upraised and never take it down. So what happens when you do that is your arm becomes withered, all the flesh, and you're just left with a skinny, like bone with a bit of skin on it. That's bad enough, but devotees, listen to this, and you better brace yourselves for this one. He, also part of it, was to keep his fist clenched, like that. And you know what happens if you do that for 10 years or something, and I mean like 10 years or more. Your fingernails don't stop growing, but they grow through your hand, and they come out the other side. So there's this photo I saw, the fingernails are out like this, curling around. Haribol, excuse me. I hope I haven't put you off your lunch. And I saw another one. He took a vow to never sit or lie down. So when he wanted to sleep, he had a swing, like a children's swing. He would suspend it from a branch and lean over it and sleep. Haribol. We do not, if any of you are getting some ideas what you might do, don't do these things. Okay. And others, like how about put a padlock through your tongue and throw away the key for a vow of silence. How's that? All I can say is, Hare Krishna. We don't do things like that. But, yeah, we were talking about austerities. So Prabhupada was saying, some people in India, they do like that. They take, like extreme vows, just too extreme. And the idea is supposedly they will become God. Supposedly. But Prabhupada made the point about Krishna, that Krishna killed Putana, and she was really a major demon. She was no lightweight. She was big, powerful demon with great mystical powers. Normally she was, I forget exactly, but it was something like 10 kilometers tall. But she would, through her mystical powers, she could shrink or expand. So when she came to kill Krishna, she shrank to the size of an ordinary woman, and she made herself look like, Miss World would not stand a chance. Put it that way, if you get the idea. I mean, she just looked literally out of this world. But she came to kill Krishna. Krishna's 3 months, Krishna killed her. 3 months. Prabhupada makes the point about, what I'd said about austerities become God. Prabhupada makes the point. Krishna was only 3 months old. He had not had time to do austerities and become God. He'd not had enough time. Means he was already God. He was already God, yeah. In other words, the people who do austerities to become God, we don't take them seriously. We really don't take them seriously at all. Okay, so let's go on. We're going to go through this song and talk about these different places and some of the people mentioned to some degree. Keshigat, Vansivat, Dwadashakana, Jahasada Lila Koilo, Sri Nanda, Nandan. Keshigat, that's where Krishna killed the Keshi demon, who came in the form of a horse. And Krishna killed him by, would you believe, suffocating him. Krishna thrust his left arm, not right arm, left arm down the demon's throat. And the demon bit Krishna's arm. But then Krishna expanded his arm and the Keshi demon suffocated and died. But where he bit Krishna on the arm, the impression of his teeth remained. Yeah, and when devotees, when you go back to Krishna, back home, back to the kingdom of God, and you meet Krishna, check out his arm, and you'll see the marks are still there. And if ever any one of the boys gets sort of smart with Krishna, that, you think you're a tough guy. I'm tougher than you. This sort of boy talk, young boy talk. Then Krishna points to the tooth marks. He says, you could kill Keshi, yeah? And the boy realizes, oh no, I couldn't do that. So he becomes humble in front of Krishna. Keshi got Vansivat. Vansi means flute, and Vat means banyan tree. Yeah. So that place is there, Vansivat is there, and there is a banyan tree there, and that's where Krishna, with his Vansi, with his flute, called the gopis for the classic rasa dance, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. That first rasa dance, Krishna played on his flute there underneath that banyan tree. And there's a banyan tree there still, and Chaitanya Charitamrita says, interesting point you can check, that when Lord Chaitanya visited Vrindavan, he went to that Vansivat place, and the original tree was there. About a few hundred years later, or not, some hundreds of years later, I mean more recently, maybe just less than, like several hundred years later, that tree got washed away by a storm. And so it was gone. But some devotees went and found the tree down the river, down the Yamuna River, and they took a cutting, like a branch, off that tree, because it was still alive. It's like the next day or something like that. It was still alive, and they brought the branch back and planted it in the same place. And now it's grown up. And it's not that big a banyan tree, but it's fairly big. Fairly big banyan tree, which is, in a sense, the original tree, because it's a branch from the original tree. So it's basically the original tree. Vansivat, Dwadasa, and under that tree, Krishna would play his flute, and the gopis would come. And you may have read, Prabhupada describes how Krishna would play the flute, and the gopis would hear, and they'd immediately feel, we must go now, like right now, maintenant, tout suite. And they just stop what they were doing and go. Some of them were cooking. Yeah, some of them, they were cooking shushu, curry, and they just leave it to burn on the stove and just go to meet Krishna. Some of them, devotees, particularly ladies, listen to this, but Prabhupada himself describes this, that some of them were dressing. They're in the middle of dressing because they knew Krishna's going to call us pretty soon. But they weren't ready. They hadn't finished dressing. So they just grabbed what they hadn't put on yet and ran. And some of them, they're in such a hurry, they put the top part of their clothing on the bottom part of the body, and the bottom part of the clothing on the top part of the body. And, anyway, ladies, you know about all these things. That was quite something, wasn't it? A kind of, amusing, embarrassing situation. Yeah. Because usually those girls didn't wear saris. They would wear a skirt, a choli, and a veil. They would normally do like that. Yeah. And they still, if they're not married, they often dress like that. And they only really start wearing saris after they're married. Okay, yeah, so there you go. Dwadasa Kanan, the 12 forests. Yeah, where Krishna, Yaha Sabha Lila Kaila. It was there Krishna had all his leelas. Nanda Nandan, Krishna the son of Nanda Maharaj. And then verse 4, Sri Nanda Yashoda Jaya, Jaya Gopagan, Shri Damadi Jaya, Jaya Denu Vatsagan. This is very nice. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Sri Nanda Yashoda, means, attributing divinity to them. Because they are, the gopis are the topmost of all devotees, but next are the parents. And or the parental devotees, it includes uncles and aunts and friends of the family who are the same age as the parents. So amongst all of them, and there's really, really many millions and billions and zillions of them, Nanda and Yashoda are the topmost. Beneath the gopis, next is actually Mother Yashoda. And then next is Nanda Maharaj. Yeah. So, and they're the parents of Krishna. Jaya Gopagan. Gopa means the cowherd boys, and Gan means like just the group of them. Sridham Adi. Whenever you see a name followed by Adi, Adi means first. So it's indicating the group that that person is the head, the leader of. So Sridham Adi means all the cowherd boys, who the leader of whom is Sridham, who is the brother of Radharani. Yeah. Jaya Denu Vatsagan. All glories to the cows and the calves. You know, we live in this monstrous Western society, even here in Mauritius. I mean, it's not as bad as many places, but, you know, they're working on it, degrading the place. So, yeah, you know, the Western world means the cows and calves are not respected. They're killed. Even I mentioned the Pope, you remember? The telephone? The Pope. In Vatican City, it's actually an independent country, sort of, within Rome, within the city of Rome. And the Pope lives there with his entourage and devotees and friends. You may not believe this, but it's true. In the Vatican City, there are 2 slaughterhouses. 2. One of them is for killing animals specifically for the Pope. The other one is for everybody else who lives in the Vatican City, you know, the staff members. Because believe me, they are non-veg. You know, I knew India was going downhill when several years ago, when Kingfisher Airlines was still operational. I was on a Kingfisher Airlines flight somewhere in India, and there were these little girls, you know, like around 20 or so, in these red mini skirts, and they're distributing the meals. So they came to me, I'm sitting there, and I'm dressed like this, you know, I'm dressed like this. And this little girl walked up to me and said, "Veg or non-veg?" And I thought, that's it, India. You're on the way out. Yeah. All right. So, yes, but the cows and calves, actually Srila Jiva Goswami, great spiritual authority, he, in his commentary on Brahma Samhita, he says that all the cows and calves which came with Krishna when he appeared 5,000 years ago, he says they were all Surabhi cows from Goloka Vrindavan. And they all came to give their mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. They're not just animals, but They talk. The Surabhi cows talk. Yeah. So all glories to all the cows and calves of Vrindavan. And devotees, let me just tell you, let me let you into a little, I don't know, secret or something. I'm just going on and not stopping, because I know we've got to keep going till lunchtime. So hang in there. Hang in there. We'll make it. That's why I chose this, because it's all pastimes and things like that. It's more kind of easier to focus on. Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtida Sundari Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhirad Nagari. So Vrishabhanu Kirtida, they're the parents of Radharani. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu and the beautiful Kirtida. Yeah, they found Vrishabhanu, the husband, found Radharani. She wasn't born. Krishna also wasn't born in the usual sense. But he was in the womb of Devaki. He was in the womb, but then he just stepped out. He didn't come out in the usual way, not even cesarean. And he came out, he was fully dressed already. And he had a crown, and he had earrings, necklaces, bangles, anklets, you name it, when he came out already. But Radharani, she, there are different versions. One version is Vrishabhanu saw her floating on a lotus leaf on the Yamuna, because the place where they were living initially, Raval, is right on the Yamuna. So, he arrive, power cut. Anyway, yeah. So the one story goes, she was floating on a leaf, like a lotus leaf, a bigger leaf. And the other story goes that, well, that's the story, actually, that's the main story of Radharani's appearance. Then Jai Purnamasi, oh, she is a super person. Of course, everyone in Vrindavan at the time of Krishna is a super being. They make Superman look like a stupid, like a weakling. What to speak of Batman. So Purnamasi, she's a lady, elderly lady with grey hair, all grey hair. So she's an elderly lady, but she is Yoga Maya in Vrindavan. Means she is overseeing the pastimes. Means who comes, who goes, and what happens, and where in Vrindavan, in the greater Vrindavan area, so that Radha and Krishna can have just amazing experiences in their pastimes. And she works with Vrindadevi. Vrindadevi is the presiding deity of the Vrindavan forest, that particular forest of Vrindavan. Excuse me. Yeah. Vrindadevi looks after the forest settings. Like if Radharani is wearing red, which she often does, then all the flowers will be red in the forest where she is. All the creatures will be red. Yeah. If she's wearing black, which she does sometimes when she goes out at night so no one will see her, then all the flowers are black. And the leaves and the birds and the animals, they're all black. Yeah, so that's Vrinda. And Purnamasi deals with the people. She brings, she sends, takes away, moves around the people in the pastimes. So they're called, we call them the Vraj Mandala Planning Commission. Because they're planning out all the pastimes. Right, and Purnamasi, let me just tell you a little Purnamasi story. It's a good one, actually. That you know, well, Putana came, tried to kill Krishna. You've all heard of Putana. And so many other demons came. And in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, while Krishna was in Vrindavan specifically, there were plus or minus 20 recorded in the Bhagavatam. But actually, there were many more. Every day there was at least 2. For all the time, means like 11 years or thereabouts, that Krishna was there. So many, many demons. And they were all sent by Kamsa. Kamsa is the chief demon. And he sent Putana. He sent Agasura, Vyomasura, all these Bakasura, he sent them all. And many others. So hundreds and hundreds of them. But we don't read, have you ever read of Kamsa coming himself to try to kill Krishna? You don't read of that. At least I'm not aware of there being a record of them actually entering and trying to kill Krishna. But did you know, devotees and friends, are you still awake?
Yeah.
Are you still with us?
Yes.
You sure? Are you playing telephone games to keep awake? Anyway, yeah, right. So, devotees, Kamsa came. He came. Yeah, Kamsa came. Because he was just living in Mathura. It's literally down the road. You can walk it in, couple of hours. So one day he came. When he saw that all the demons he was sending, none of them were returning. They're all being killed. He decided to do it himself. So therefore he got on his chariot and he started riding towards Vrindavan. And there's like a boundary around the Vrindavan area, separating it from Mathura itself, the city. So he's coming on his chariot, coming, when suddenly there's this old lady with white hair standing in the middle of the road. So he stops and he asks, he gets off his chariot and says, what are you doing? Who do you think you are, stopping me? And it was Purnamasi. And Purnamasi said, you think you're going to enter Vrindavan, do you? And Kamsa said, of course I am, I'm the king. Get out of the way. And he had already stepped across the boundary. Purnamasi, she keeps a stick, but it's, she is Yoga Maya, the presiding deity of the spiritual potency within Vrindavan, controlling all the pastimes and all the people in the pastimes. She is extremely powerful. She took out her little stick and gave Kamsa one light tap. Tap. And you know what happened? Kamsa turned into a little gopi girl. Little gopi girl. Little gopi girl body, same Kamsa mind. And Kamsa's now in shock, complete shock. And what on earth? Turn me back. And Purnamasi said, well, you want to enter Vrindavan. If you want to enter Vrindavan, you've got to be trained up. So I turned you into a gopi, and you're going to be trained now. All right. And Kamsa just doesn't know what to do, what to say, what to think. And Purnamasi said, all right, first lesson. You see over there some cows, right? You go over there and you'll see on the ground there is some cow dung. You go over, you pick up the cow dung and you make it into cow dung patties. And Kamsa said, I'm not going to do that. And she said, you want the stick again? Before he knew it, he was collecting cow dung and making it into cow dung patties. And after a while, Purnamasi came in and said, you're doing quite well, actually. Now we're going to lesson 2. So lesson 2 is, you've got to watch the cows. You've got to watch them. And you'll see from time to time, one cow lifts her tail up, and then passes cow dung. The best cow dung is the cow dung which has not touched the ground yet. So what you must do, you must go watch them, and when you see the tail go up, you must run over, and with your hands, you catch the cow dung before it touches the ground. And Kamsa's too much in shock. So he did it. And sometimes he caught it. And sometimes he missed. And so he had cow dung on his face and here and on his shoulders. And so after a while, Purnamasi said, you're doing well. You're doing quite well. Now for lesson 3. When Kamsa heard just that there is a lesson 3, he ran. Kamsa ran across the boundary by his chariot. And when he got across the boundary, he changed back into Kamsa. Yeah. And he jumped on his chariot and just went straight back to Mathura. And devotees, he never came back because he didn't want to find out what is lesson 3. So that's Purnamasi. Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhira Nagari. Yeah. Well, Purnamasi is Sandipani Muni's mother. If you've heard of him. Yeah, Krishna's guru. She is, and his children means she is the grandmother of Madhu Mangal and Nandimukhi. Yeah, and she is a disciple of Narada Muni. And all glories to all the cowherd girls. Abhira Nagari. Jaya Jaya Gopishwara. Vrindavana Maj. Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakha. Batu Dvijaraj. Well, we could say a lot about this, but I'm not going to go on for too long, so I won't say too much. But I will say it a little bit too much. Gopishwa. Gopishwa is special deity of Lord Shiva in Vrindavan. Yeah. And they say in Vrindavan there are 5 entities, you could say entities, who are particularly merciful. There is Vrinda, there is Govardhan, there is the river Yamuna, there is the dust of Vrindavan, and 5th is Gopishwa Shiva. He's there as a devotee. And every night if you go there, you should go and have darshan of Gopishwa if you haven't done so before. But at night, they dress Gopishwa. He's a Shiva Linga, a fairly, fairly substantial Shiva Linga, something like this. Like a regular Shiva Linga, normally. But at night, the evening darshan starts around 5. At night, they dress Gopishwa as a gopi. They put a sari on the Shiva Linga, yeah, and jewelry, ladies' jewelry, and a crown on Gopishwa. Because Gopishwa Shiva is a form of Lord Shiva as a gopi, Lord Shiva in a female form. Gopishwa Shiva. So, should I tell you the story, or are you too anxious for prasadam? Are you managing? Oh, hang in there. We'll get there. So Gopishwa, the story is that Krishna was there in Vrindavan, and Krishna was doing rasa dance every night. After a little while, not immediately, but after a little while, he started doing rasa dance every night. And Lord Shiva, you may know, he's Nataraj, means the king of dancers, and he really likes to dance. You've all seen, you get these sort of like deities, these brass figures, circular, and Lord Shiva's in the middle dancing, right? You know what I mean? You must have seen that. Nataraj, the king of dancing. So anyway, Lord Shiva from Kailash, from up, when Krishna was here, Lord Shiva was watching. And at night, Krishna would dance, and Lord Shiva would be watching. And he's just such a dancer. Lord Shiva felt, I got to go down there and take part in the dance. So he came down. Lord Shiva came down, and he landed not far from Vanksivat, where the dance would start, by the banyan tree. But it was actually on the other side of the river. So it's quite close, because Vanksivat is on the bank of the river, more or less. So he landed there. Here I am in Vrindavan. Let's go to the dance. He's just about to go racing off across the river, when who should walk in front of him but, take a guess, Purnamasi. And she said, where do you think you're going? And Shiva said, well, I'm going to the rasa dance. It's just nearby. I want to get into the dance. Yeah. And Purnamasi said, no. Don't you know? Krishna is the only male in the rasa dance. No other male. You'll have to take a female form. And Lord Shiva, just without thinking, said, no problem. Give me a female form. Because he just really wanted to get into the dance. So what she did, what Purnamasi did, she dipped him in Man Sarovar. It is a kund, or Sarovar means big kund, basically, or a small lake, just on the other side of the Yamuna. And so she took him there, and she dipped him in Man Sarovar. And Lord Shiva came out as Gopishwa, female form. Yeah. Female form. But Lord Shiva is big. Lord Shiva is not, a lightweight. He's a really big, powerful man. And Gopishwa was a really big girl. Big, strong girl. And Purnamasi said, okay, go. Go to the rasa dance. You can take part. So off went Gopishwa Shiva. Big, powerful girl. And Gopishwa arrived at the rasa dance. Of course, she's now she had never been there before. And all the gopis, they all know each other. So in comes Gopishwa Shiva, this big, strong girl. And the gopis look at Gopishwa and they look at each other. Who is this? So a group of gopis surrounded Gopishwa Shiva. And they asked, so, who are you? Who are you? What's your name? What's your name? Now, she is known as Gopishwa now, but actually, Purnamasi had not given Gopishwa a name, just given him the female body. So Gopishwa couldn't say, well, you might be surprised to hear it, but I'm Lord Shiva, actually. He couldn't say anything like that. So Gopishwa, he doesn't know my name. Wow, what's my name? So he became bewildered and said, my name? You mean what people call me? Is that what you mean? My name, is that what you mean by name? The gopi said, yes, that's right. Tell us what your name is. And Gopishwa said, I'm so excited to be here. I forgot my name. And the gopi said, oh, of course you forgot your name. Sure, it happens all the time. And they said, well, okay, you forgot your name, but what are the names of your parents? And Gopishwa, he's born from, Lord Shiva is born from the forehead of Lord Brahma. But he couldn't say something like that. He said, my parents, well, I just call them Mum and Dad, actually. So I don't really know what their names are. I thought it was disrespectful to call your parents by their names. And the gopi said, oh, sure you don't know your parents' names. Of course you don't. Then they said, well, which village are you from? And he couldn't say, well, I'm from Kailash, actually. He said, village. You mean where I live? Oh, okay. Well, You know, right? You know. It's that village. You know, if you go down that road and you turn right, then you turn left, and you turn right again, and left, and you know, there's a big tree there. You keep going past the big tree. You know, it's that village, that one. And the gopi said, oh, you don't know the name of your village either. Oh, okay. They're being sarcastic. And then they saw Lord Shiva had a cobra around his neck and some scorpions Gopishwa on the body. And they said, the gopi said, so what's this cobra doing around your neck? And these scorpions, I mean, come on. And Gopishwa said, yeah, they're pets. They're domesticated. They're very nice. They're friendly. Oh, okay, sure, of course. And what are all those ashes all over your body? They look like the ashes of cremated human bodies. And Gopishwa said, no, latest cosmetic from Paris. Oh, really? Oh, okay, that's good. And what's the fountain of water coming out of your head? Because you're Lord Shiva. And Gopishwa said, oh, it's great. Keeps me cool in the summer. You should get one yourself. So the gopis, they'd had enough by now. They said, listen, you are just too weird. We're going to beat you up. Because they're tough girls. They are tough girls. So they're surrounding Gopishwa. They're just about to attack him or her. And who should come but Purnamasi? And she tells the gopis, no, don't hurt her. She's a very nice girl. I know her myself personally. She's a little eccentric, but she's very nice, so don't beat her up. She wants to go to the rasa dance. And the gopis said, all right, if you ask us, if you tell us not to beat her up, we won't beat her up. But she's not coming into the rasa dance. We're not going to let her in. And so Purnamasi said, all right, okay, but look at her, see how big and strong she is. Let her stand on the edge, just near. So she'll keep an eye on the rasa dance. And if any unqualified people try to enter the rasa dance, she will catch them and send them away. She'll be the security officer around the rasa dance. So therefore, sometimes, if you go to Vamsivat, at least that's one place, but in some other places, sometimes you see pictures of the rasa dance, and you see Gopishwa Shiva on one side, big, female, with a moon, the fountain and all that, watching over the rasa dance. So they say, bouncer, right? They use that term here, the bouncer. They say, if you want to enter the rasa dance, Vrinda Devi is the ticket collector. She checks you out. Are you ready or not? And if you're not, she calls for Gopishwa. And Gopishwa just sends you away. So this is Gopishwa, who Vrindavana Maj means he protects the Dham. He protects the Dham. And Yamaraj Prabhu, I think our devotees getting a little tired. Bien fatigué? Bien chaud? Ouais, chaud. You know, prochaine fois, they must install air conditioning. Fans are, old style, old-fashioned. Should be AC. Anyway, okay, but should we take a lunch break? Oh, we'll do RT. All right. So devotees, we have got halfway through. Would you believe? We made it to halfway point. So la prochaine fois, we will tell you the rest of the story. How's that? Yeah. Keep you in suspense. What does Madhu Mangal do? Wow. Wait until you hear it. You won't believe it. It's amazing. Totally amazing. All right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are going to have arati or just arati, yeah? Okay. Bien bon.